Hello guys, welcome to the TechBitSoft. So now we are going to understand how to implement multiple inheritance in Java. Okay, so we have seen that inheritance topic. That time I told you, right, multiple inheritance in Java is not implement using the class, but as we have covered interfaces, right, in the last session, and I told you, right, we can implement multiple inheritance using the interface only, not like in the class. So why it is implementing using the interface and why it is not using, why it is not working with the class, that we are going to understand now. So what multiple inheritance scenario we have, right, base 1 and base 2. So this time I have two classes and having a one class like drive. So base 1, base 2 are the parent and drive is like a child only here. So one child is having a two parent. That scenario is called multiple inheritance, which is supported by Java and does not support by the Java also. When Java does support, when Java does not support, that we are going to understand this now. And why does it support and why does it not support, right? So without wasting the time, let's come to the IntelliJ and look on this, how can we use it. So I'm creating a new package, right, which is could be multiple name like that. Okay, so inside that only we do perform some kind of interfaces, multiple inheritance. So I'm creating a two class here, base 1, it is a one class, and one class say like base 2, right? And I'm creating a one class here which could be say like derive, right? Whenever you will write drive extends base 1 comma base 2, it started trying and it has said that it is not possible in Java. The reason why, one reason is that suppose if base 1 class having a one constructor, okay, base 1 having a one constructor here and base 2 also is having a suppose one constructor, okay, and then in the drive class if I will write here suppose the drive class constructor, drive, not from the pics, let me copy the same directly here, copy the drive here, right? That time we know that the child class having authority to call parent class constructor. So this time I have a two parent, base 1 and base 2. So base 1 having a different body, let's say I'm writing here system.out.print and I'm writing here suppose base 1. Okay, same I'm writing under the base 2 also, and here I'm writing it is from base 2. So two class I have a parent base 1 base 2 and the drive class if I'm writing here. So do you know how to call the parent class constructor? That is the first priority. So we will call the super, right? It is not, we are not mentioning with the method name on it. So it is not asking super or from base 1 or super is from base 2. So this time it is called ambiguity here. What is called ambiguity? JVM will not understand that, right? It will call which class constructor. Either it could be base 1 or it could be base 2. So that could be the first reason why Java does not support multiple inheritance in case of class, right? Second scenario we have a like method as well here, right? Let's say it is having a method with the same name void test, right? It is having a one method and that is also having a one method like void test, right? This time again if you will override the test method right here, override it, right, that time you will write super.test. So that time also it will be a problem. It will not understand that you are calling test of which base 1 or base 2 because here it is calling super.test, right? So you can call the constructor also from the by using super from the child to parent, or you can call the method also from the child to parent, but always we have to keep super only. So that time test is a method of base 1 and base 2. So that time it will not understand that which class test you are calling base 1 or base 2. So it is a confusion for the JVM, or I can say that ambiguity is also like a kind of confusion. It's a synonym of the confusion. So that time JVM does not allow that multiple inheritance in case of what class, right? Then how does Java does support it in terms of interface, that we are going to understand. So now let me create a new interface, say like base 3, that could be interface not class, right? Base 3 and I'm giving here like base 4, it could be any name, okay, no problem. So base 3 and base 4, and here I am writing one more class like derive 1. Derive 1. That could be a class only, not interface. And here I will use implements keyword to implement both what? Base 3 and base 4. Base 3 and base 4. So you can see that when I'm writing next implements base 3 and base 4, right? So implements we do keep if I'm using interface, right? Extend we do keep if I'm using class. So if parent are the class, extend. If parent are the interface, implements, right? Base 3 and base 4. This time, first of all, that base 3, base 4 are the constructor. So base 3 and base 4 are the interface, right? Our interface doesn't have a constructor. So that means the first illusion which we have, that will not be there. That means if interface doesn't have a constructor, right? So there is no confusion, it is calling on which class constructor. So that is the first, because of that Java does support it. Now let's talk about the second version, which we having a test method, right? So in base 3, I can write the test method, which could be a default in the form of default only, default void test. Whenever you want to write concrete method under the interface, that could be start with the default only, right? Same I will keep in the child also, not child, base 4. So there is a two interface right now I have, both are having a method name is like test and having a like default only. So this features has added from the Java 8 onwards, right? It was not there before Java 8, right? And that time if I will override here, right? So let me override from the test. So that time it will directly come public. So as we have seen that overriding rule, right? That we can increase the accessibility, but we cannot decrease the accessibility. So whenever we have a like default method in the interfaces, right? When we do override it, right? That time we have to keep it public. That time we have to keep it public, right? So that means it will not having any issue, because in a class we can't write default keyword. So this time you can see that is directly mentioning here base3.super.toss test, right? That means it is simply saying that please call base 3 test method. If you want to write here base 4, that time it is saying okay, please call the base 4 test method. So that time there is no confusion for the JVM. JVM is complete crystal clear that which parent test has to call either base 3 or base 4. Which confusion is still there with the class, because in a class I don't have this mechanism to add the class name. But interface we have this mechanism that I told you added from the Java 8 onwards only, not before it, right? So base we can write interface name with the super.test name. You can see here in the drive I don't have option. I can't write here like base 1 dot. If you will write it right, then it will be an error for me, because it is a class. Base 1, base 2 is a class, so we can't write that class name here. But in interface, if it is parent interface, right, then time we can write the base 4. So because of that only we can write, right? So let me make it write some conclusion here, right? So in interface, right, in multiple inheritance, right? Inheritance in the child class, we can call what we can call parent class method by using what? Base 4 super.test. That means interface name dot super.test name. In multiple index, in multiple, I am talking about in interface scenario, right? That will be in the interface scenario, right? So in the interface scenario, how do we call them? We can call in interface in multiple inheritance. In the child class, we can call the parent class method by using the base 4 dot super dot this one, right? But in the class, how can we do it? In the class, we don't have this option here, so we can't write it. We have to write super.test only, right? So because of that only, that JVM will not be clear. You are talking about which parent, because parent we do not mention here. So that's why Java does not support that in terms of class, and it support in terms of interfaces. So that is all about the multiple inheritance. I have given the complete detail of it. Still, if you have a doubt on it, right, if you are not understanding anything, please put me on comment. It is one of the most important interview question. If you are applying for the Java interview, right, if you are applying for the Java developer role, you may get that a number of time. Why Java does support multiple inheritance? Basically for freshers. For lateral also it will ask, but for fresher it will ask very frequently, right? If you have a multiple inheritance, when Java does support it and when Java does not support it. So in terms of class, Java does not support it. Please give a right answer to them, because in the class, right, we do call that parent class method by using the super only. So it will not understand that which super you are talking, because it is having a more than one super, right? But in interface, we have a directly way to give the class interface name dot super dot test name. So it is a crystal clear which interface you are talking, which interface method you are calling from the child. So the problem is from the calling the child from the parent. If you have multiple parents, right, that time you have to mention the name only, then only it will understand that okay, which parent you are talking, right? If you are not calling by the name, that means it will be kind of confusion, illusion that cannot be achieved. So that is all about multiple inheritance, right? Thanks for watching, guys. If you like the video, please subscribe it. Okay, thank you guys. Please take care. Bye bye.